Hi there, it's Jen, and thanks for joining me. Today I'm doing a review on the Craftsmart items from Michaels in the $2 bin. So this 6 cube of inks came in the $2 bin, as did this stamp set with the die, and then this embossing folder with the stamp. So I'm going to try these out and see if they are worth the $2. I'm not expecting a whole lot, but we will see how it goes. I did kind of experiment with a little bit, and I will show you again how they worked. I kind of experimented a little bit with this. So I'm just using Bristol smooth cardstock. I wanted to use one of the better papers for this to give the inks and the stamps the best chance at a good outcome. So what I'm going to do first is I want to take the lettering, and I'm going to do this both using a few different things to compare. So first I'm going to go ahead and use this stamp with the green Craftsmart ink, and I kind of got the tropical colors just because I got the stamp and the embossing folder are kind of that theme. But as you can see, the top of the ink pad is shiny and it comes out really well. It's pretty juicy. But and I've already conditioned these stamps with an eraser so that I can get the best. But one thing I noticed right off the bat is that the stamp pad leaves little blobs of color. I don't know if you can see it on this, especially with my dirty stamping block, but I don't know if you can see, there's like little blobs of color that get stuck. And I'm just trying to go over this, and it feels rather sticky also. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this and you can see how it comes out. And so it's not the greatest, and as you can see, it does, it's almost like the ink bleeds somewhat. But I will go ahead and show you on 2 other inks. I'm going to go ahead and use this Letter It ink by Ranger in Cobalt, and then I'm going to use a VersaFine, because both of these inks are good inks, and I think they will do well. And then I went ahead and cleaned the ink off, and it's a really pretty color on the baby white. So I will try to use these as watercolors also, just, you know, I mean, if you can use them for something, it's not a loss. So here I am, I'm using the Craftsmart stamp with this Ranger Letter It ink. And that turned out a lot better. I mean, I still don't think it's as crisp, and that's probably due to the quality of the stamp, but I think that turned out well. And then I'll go ahead and try the VersaFine, which we all know is a good ink. And so that turned out well also. So you see the difference between the 3. So the stamp actually did perform well on better inks, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and pick the pineapple because it has a little bit of detail, and I'm going to try the inks again. So I'm going to go ahead and try this yellow ink. And the stamp's not sticking real well. And I am not sure what kind of ink these are. I have to see if I can look it up and find out. So that didn't do horribly bad. It still does kind of leave heavy areas of ink. Let me do a different color because that's pretty light. I'll go ahead and use the pink one. So you can get a little bit better idea. But when I put the ink down, it is sticky, and I think it's the ink pad, not the stamp. So it does kind of stick, and it leaves an impression. I mean, which isn't horrible, but it is kind of sticky. So this one you can see a little bit better where it's depositing ink in certain areas. And I'm pretty sure that it's the ink and not the stamp. So we will go ahead and try the other inks again and see whether it is the stamp or the ink. And you can tell this is there's a huge difference. And like I said, I don't know what kind of ink this is. But this is more of like a shiny, sticky pad, and this is more of like a felt pad, I guess. So we'll go ahead and do the archival ink. And that turned out pretty good. And then we'll go ahead and do the VersaFine. Which, as you know, is really good at detail. So there is a noticeable difference between the good ink and the lesser quality. So I think the stamp does stamp up well for it being a $2 stamp set. And I'll go ahead and cut one of these pineapples out with the die and try the Flamingo, which came with this embossing folder. And I'm going to try this, and I haven't conditioned this at all. I'm going to go ahead and try this with this ink. It almost looks chalky when it's down, like a chalk ink would look, but it's not chalk ink. So that actually didn't do horribly bad. I mean, there's still some ink deposits around the stamp or the stamped image. So I'll go ahead and do this with the letterette. Let's see how that stamps up. So the stamp did really well, actually. And what I mean by the deposits, this is the letterette, and this is a Craftsmart. As you can see in the Craftsmart ink, how it's leaving these little like blobs of ink in areas, and the better quality ink pad, the Ranger letterette, it's not doing that. You don't see the ink deposits. So I'm going to try doing some I'm going to try one more thing. I'm going to try doing this stamp set, which is Delusion Stamp Set, and I always compare stamps to the Delusion Stamp Set because I think they're really good quality stamps. And so I'm going to go ahead and I already did this really on this side. So these are the Craftsmart inks, the yellow, the green, the pink, and then the teal, and then the kind of like a light or aqua, and then the green. This is either Memento or VersaFine, and then this is the Ranger letterette ink. I didn't get the ink pad down all the way, so there's a little spot, but you can see the difference between this good quality ink right here and then this right next to it, which is the Craftsmart. For one, you can kind of see where I put the ink down on the stamp when I inked it up. And you can see that on this one also, how it's lighter right here and darker right here. But I mean, I don't think it's horribly bad, but there are some imperfections, like I said, with it depositing the ink in certain areas and just not going on the stamp uniformly, like the better quality ink. So I'm not going to go ahead and do that since I've already done it, but I did want to use the embossing folder. I did only run this through once. It sounds like it's sticking. but it actually is really pretty. And this has got kind of a combination of areas where it's recessed. The only bad thing is it did cut through the paper, as you can see. I only ran it through once. I used the correct setting, but I don't know if you can see, it's kind of, and this is a better quality paper, so maybe I'll try a different thickness of paper. This is a little bit thicker than regular, but as you can see, this right here, it has split it. The same with this. But let me try a different paper that might do better with embossing. So I'm going to try this Georgia Pacific cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and I'll cut a piece of this and put that in my embossing folder, and I will run this through and see if this fares any better. It's still, it might not be as bad as the other paper, but it's still, as you can see, it's ripping the paper. So, I mean, this is a lighter weight, this is a heavier weight, and both of them have ended up ripping, which, I mean, you don't really want that. I have another embossing folder, just to see. Let's give it a chance. Maybe it is. So I'm going to try a good quality embossing folder, which I'm going to say a Doris or a Sizzix or a Cuttlebug is probably good. I don't know if I have anything similar in pattern. So here's one that's a basic gray embossing folder, which is a good quality. It's got a lot of detail on it. So I'm going to try that just with the regular cardstock. I'll run that through my machine, but as you can tell in this, it did fine. So I'm assuming this is going to do fine. So as you can, I don't know if you could tell when I opened this, it was a little difficult to open. When I open this, it just opens right up. And I don't have any tears in any of the lines. And I think what the problem is this embossing folder is way too thick. I can tell when I ran this through my Big Shot, it was a little harder. And I had it on the embossing folder tab, which means there's no more that I could take away. I mean, if you have just an embossing machine, like the little purse thing, or like the Cuttlebug, where it just does embossing folders, you might have better luck. I'm not sure, but I can tell you that this folder is probably too thick to get a good impression without it tearing. So it's probably kind of hard to tell, but this is a fairly thick folder compared to this. So I don't know if you can see the difference, but I think that's what the problem is this is way too thick. So when it goes through the machine, it is just, there's just too much plastic there. And so it pushes into the paper too much and causes it to cut. Whereas, you know, this embossing folder is nice and thin and really flexible. Like this is really kind of hard plastic. It's too thick. And this is like a thinner plastic, and so it doesn't cut into the paper. So I was kind of hoping that this would be better. I don't like saying that something is not good. I don't know. I mean, there might be another way to use this where it's worth the $2. The stamp is wonderful. Like I have no problem with the stamp. It's just the folder didn't come out good. So this is the thinner paper, and it's cutting right there. And then this is the thicker paper. You can see where it's doing that. This is the good embossing folder. I can do all kinds of stuff, and it works really well. So just for comparison, I'm going to go ahead and use the inks for watercolor and some greens. And I don't know, can you see that? It's like, ugh. Like normally you put a pad down and it like glides across this. This is really sticky. Really sticky. So let's see how it goes on the, but they're very sticky. Very sticky. So here's the pink. And the colors, like I said, they're really actually pretty colors. It's just they don't stamp up real well. I'll just do it on a piece of the plain. So these would be good used as watercolors. I mean, it's turning out really nice. Let me try the yellow. So it's like this is like kind of the tropical. This is kind of dirty probably because I didn't clean my brush entirely very well. I mean, they don't seem to blend off of the stamp real well. So I was thinking that maybe if you could stamp it up and then just kind of blend the colors out like you would for a watercolor pen, or like the, what are those pens called? Kind of like a watercolor pen, but yeah, it's not, I was thinking that maybe you could get these little blobs and kind of blend them out with water, but that's not working. So it does not work that way. So I think if you're going to buy these, maybe they would be good for kids probably. I don't think the stamps are horribly bad with better quality inks, but the stamps and the inks together I don't think work real well. So here is the pineapple die cut out. Turned out really good. I would recommend buying these. Like I said, they have a lot of cute stamps and dies, and they have they have some cute stamps with the embossing folder, but I don't think it's worth $2 to spend on a tiny little stamp like this. I do not recommend the embossing folders. Like I said, if you have got it to work without cutting the paper, either through a embossing only machine like a Cuttlebug or one of the little Sizzix machines that is only used for embossing, feel free to leave a comment and let me know that. Otherwise, for me, I won't buy any more of these, but I definitely will purchase more of these stamp sets. I mean, they're only $2. The die works really well. You can make some cute projects. And I don't know that I myself would buy any more of the inks because I have watercolors and I have watercolor pens, and so I don't really need any more watercolor stuff. But if you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of supplies and you want to do some watercoloring or even ink smudging, this would be a great thing to buy because you get 6 different colors and it's only $2, and they have a few other different color combinations. So I would totally recommend that if you're looking to use these as watercolors. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it informative. If you did, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and I would love it if you would leave a comment below if you have any questions or comments about these or your own experience with these products. And if you would like to see more videos, please go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a subscriber. Otherwise, I will catch you next time. Thanks so much.